according to Andrew Tate, he said he got offered $55 million to sign a contract. And because he turned down the sponsor he said after he turned down that specific sponsorship, this is where all of his troubles started beginning. That's when he started getting arrested, and then he started getting charges put on him. So let's hear him out here. This is a little bit interesting, but not shocking to me, obviously. But we'll let him talk about his predicament.
I got offered $55 million to sign a contract, and that contract was a sponsorship contract. But to avoid brand damage to this brand, I had to shut up about certain issues and change my opinions on certain things, and I declined the money. And soon after that, I was arrested.
So this happens to a lot of celebrities off rip. Most of the celebrities that you be seeing, particularly that be in and out of jail, is because they decline certain things, they decline certain sponsorships. When they got popular, they didn't go through a certain gatekeeper, so they end up getting targeted basically for the rest of their lives. So an easy example of this would be Cat Williams. This dude is always getting arrested. Always got a mugshot. Now, mind you, he's never been convicted of any felony, never been convicted of any crimes, but he always got a mugshot. So Cat Williams would be the easiest example that I can come up with. But basically, any man that you see that is always in and out of trouble, always getting charges just thrown on him, it's most likely because he got famous without going through a certain algorithm or certain gatekeepers. Because the people that you see on TV or on the internet, Twitch including, YouTube included, right? It's planned. They only let certain people rise in the algorithm. Now, in Tate's case, he kind of tricked the algorithm in a kind of a pay-for-play type of system. And when he became one of the most Google people, this is when I realized, oh, he's probably going to get into some trouble very soon, right? And he did. So we'll let him keep going on.
So what they try and do is give you a gatekeeper if you get famous without one, but primarily people only get famous because of their gatekeeper. All of these famous people aren't even famous. This is what's really amazing. Taylor Swift or Rihanna or whoever, I'm not insulting them. I'm saying that they can make any piece of shit trash song. All the radios are going to play it. All the TV stations are going to play it. They're going to pump it everywhere. They're going to put it to the front of the Spotify recommended list. They're going to make it something it isn't.
All right. I saw a couple comments that I like. Shout out to Gary Grant in the building. Shout out to you guys. In other words, small hats got involved. Yeah, that's that's usually what it is. Oh, Kanye West, another person. You know, they try to call him crazy, etc., etc., etc. Right. Water God Zero said, yep, him and Chris Brown. I was about to say, yeah, Chris Brown is another thing. So in Chris Brown's case, you'll have people that are part of the plan, that are part of the industry, but then they go off script or something happens to him, right? Or you'll have some but particularly with Chris Brown's in Chris Brown's case, he was a young talent. He made a lot of money for certain industries because he has a large female fan base. So they're like, shoot, even though he's not that plugged, we can still use him. But when things kind of got off script in his personal life, and he never really got the so-called punishment that he deserves. They've been after him ever since. But really, the reason why they're after him is because whatever him and Rihanna got into a fight over, it's something serious. That's my opinion on that. I've already told you guys this. It's not even, people think it's because of him and Rihanna getting into it. That's why he's always been targeted by the powers that may be. It's not just because of that. It's because of why they were fighting. And remember what Jaguar Wright said. She alleges that they were fighting over Rihanna sleeping with JayZ. And rumor has it that JayZ has something that you can't get rid of. Now, the thing is, you have people in the industry, whether they've been chosen or not, they end up stumbling upon a secret that they have no business finding out. And Chris Brown was one of these people, I believe. And this is why he's always been targeted. It's a form of intimidation. It's an intimidation tactic. Because he knows something that he's not supposed to know. He was not supposed to know this type of information. There's a reason why Rihanna has never really talked crazy about Chris Brown. Look at the depths that Meg Thee Stallion, even though she's lying, look how far she's willing to go with the lie just to trash Tory Lane's name. Have people ever be like, damn, it's interesting. Rihanna's never said a bad thing about Chris Brown, and she got her ass beat by him. kind of, even though she put her hands on him first. Don't I'm like, what were they fighting over? What happened? Why did they get in the scuffle? And both of them have been tight-lipped about it. This is where you got to be like, because like women will be lying about you. I'm talking about they'll lie about you, and they were in the wrong, even to their own detriment. And people haven't been like, it's interesting. Why has Rihanna's never said a negative word about Chris Brown? Now, Rihanna is not known as a woman to bite her tongue. You know what I mean? She's not like she's not like known as a woman that bites her tongue. So it's like it's very interesting that she's never said a negative word about Chris Brown. So clearly, what they've been after Chris Brown about, he found out something during that scuffle that is industry changing. This is why I'm not sure Jaguar right is right. No pun intended, but there might be something to what she's saying. So that's why Chris Brown has been getting harassed. He will always get harassed. You know? Yep. It's interesting stuff because like women will trash you. I'm talking about over a lie. Now, and I'm just like, damn, that means I'm like, Rihanna she don't got one negative word to say about Chris Brown. That's interesting. That is very interesting. So it's whatever they had the scuffle about. That's the key. That's the key. What were they tussling about? Chris Brown, I believe, found out something that he wasn't supposed to know, and it drove him to a rage. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. I don't want to get my channel frozen.
Because that's why they're famous in the first place. Their gatekeepers make them famous. If they lose their gatekeeper, even if they could now become a free person, they don't have enough agency or enough about them to actually do it. I was one of the few people who had no gatekeeper and everybody trying to suppress me, who was managing to organically gain endless traction.
Well, it wasn't necessarily organic. That was a pay-for-play thing he did, which was kind of genius on his end. Because Andrew Tate, he just wanted to gain control of the algorithm and just get, and he found a way to do it, right? Now, many people will say that he was allowed to rise, and I agree. There could be two things can be true, but he found a way to gain control over the algorithm damn near overnight. But that also got him into trouble because there's certain channels, there are certain gatekeepers that you have to go through. You can't skip the process. But what he says about gatekeepers is interesting. I always say this: most other dudes that people hate on, or the people, whether it be women, men, etc., the only reason why you think of them negatively is because they didn't go through a certain gatekeeper. And I'll go into this in a little bit.
They banned me, they shadow banned me, they deleted my hashtags, they tried everything, they couldn't get rid of me.
So let's go more into that. And it's kind of why, you know, I'm not really a fan of Andrew Tate in terms of him, the person, but I'll just say this: I don't feel bad for him, and this is why. this is why. The reason why I don't feel bad for Andrew Tate is because of his fan base. Andrew Tate has a fan base in the United States, but he has a large fan base in the UK, and I found it ironic that there were men in the UK that were crying about the persecution of Andrew Tate. I found it a bit I'm not going to say hypocritical, but I found it amusing. Okay. So it's not like my ire for Andrew Tate is not because he's a grifter, believe it or not. It's because of his fan base. Same with Fresh and Fit, all the other popular channels that were allowed to rise, right? But I'll say with Andrew Tate, I think his fans from the UK, particularly his young male fan audience, I think they have no right to complain about the muzzling of Andrew Tate. I've spoken about this ad nauseum, especially in 2022. There have been plenty of particularly black male footballers that went through hell in the British media. And the same people, particularly the same male fan audience that Andrew Tate has, these are the same people making fun of these guys, putting their life through hell, following these guys, making fake stories about these guys, right? When I mentioned players like Mario Balotelli, Raheem Sterling, Romelu Lukaku, Paul Pogba, right? Plenty of male football stars. Watch this. Let me show y'all something real quick. Let me just show y'all something. Benjamin Mendy. Okay. So many people might not remember, right? So with Benjamin Mendy, he had a false accusation put on him, right? And it was interesting because when he got the false accusation put on him, he had basically no male support, if any. And I'm pretty sure the people, you know what I mean? Benjamin Mendy had like no like male support. Most of the men, particularly of in the UK, they was making memes, they was making fun of him. The only reason why Benjamin Mendy is free today, in my opinion, is because when they started really investigating, they found out his teammate, Jack Grealish, a Caucasian dude, was at the same party where they said that Benjamin Mendy was doing all these stuff to women and etc. And he was the only, like, they made it seem like Benjamin Mendy was the only person there until they found out Jack Grealish was also at that same party. That is the only reason why he's free, because then they were able to start cross-examining people, and then they were able to find out what really happened. If they didn't find out that Jack Grealish was also at that same party, he would still be in prison. Now, this has happened to a lot of male footballers in the UK, particularly black footballers, right? So I don't want to hear it. So when Andrew Tate started getting into trouble, I found it funny. I found it funny, right? So I remember seeing people in the comments, particularly the UK fans, right? And they were like, "Oh, these bitches coming out. Didn't you see? They said they got paid money to say this, and another woman said that she got paid money." I'm like, what do you think has been happening for the past? You think these bitches in the past that were making false accusations and all this stuff, you think they were doing that for free? Like I remember people wanted me. It was like a specific dude. He had wanted me to do. He wanted me to do a video on that specifically, where it's like, this is breaking news. A woman said that she got offered $50,000 to say that Andrew Tate did something to them, and I was like, okay. I was just like, this nigga must be new. This is no new ish. So that's really kind of the reason why I don't feel bad for Andrew Tate. Not necessarily because of Andrew Tate, but like I say, a lot of males, a lot of men, they've dropped the ball over the years when it comes to people like this. Recently, Mason Greenwood from Manchester United, right? Recently, Dani Alves, the right back from the former Brazilian, the former right back for FC Barcelona, that got the false accusation put on him when he was in Mexico. I can go on and on and on. It's kind of hard for me to feel bad for Tate. Not necessarily because of him, but because men in general, we've dropped the ball. we've already dropped the ball because of male jealousy, because of male ego, right? And because due to the nature of the average person, they're just not willing to do their research for most things, right? And they're not brave enough to be like, I think this is a fake case. And it's only until it affects their favorite player, their favorite celebrity, their favorite male icon, then we got to start doing changes. Then we got to make a movement. Then we got to, we need the laws changed. It's too late. It's too late. Half of the laws that we're suffering from today is due to male jealousy. When you look at the Mann Act, right? A lot of these prostitution laws, this came from the boxer Jack Johnson from the 1910s. He used to parade the white bitches that he was fucking, right? And because of that, there were white men in power, or white men in Congress, right, that created laws, or was it the white males in certain political places? They created laws to keep black men from being with white men. I mean, so pause. Black men from being with white women. Pause. Mega pause on that, right? So when they created these laws, they didn't understand the ramifications. Like they just didn't understand the ramifications of now, where basically if you're traveling with a bitch across straight lines, you can get a trafficking / pimping charge put on you. And really, the objective wasn't even that. But men in the past, due to jealousy, ego, etc., due to simping, male simping, there are a lot of laws created today that are affecting us where it's just like, bruh. So a lot of the things that Andrew Tate is going through, it's kind of hard for me to feel bad for it because we, I believe, as men, have brought it upon ourselves.